Whatever. All right, for the tube. Say what up, tube.
What up, tube?
What up, tube? Alrighty, and last but certainly not least, did you give him the rundown?
No, but that's okay. Let's do it.
All right, we're running with it. We're rolling with it. Yep. Transport, rescan audio devices, and for the pod in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros.
Woo! What up, ladies and gentlemen? Hernan Cias here, host of the Business Bros podcast, along with my co-host,
where we are.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. No, go ahead. Just along with my co-host. I can't do it after. It doesn't sound right.
Oh man, where we are empowering others to create wealth for today and generational wealth for tomorrow. And the co-host James C.S. with Pipeline Insurance, where we are empowering licensed professionals to effectively add insurance into their existing businesses.
My mind is all over the place.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what we were talking about just now. Anyway, as always, another fun-filled, ready-to-go rock and roll episode for you. Here we go. All of us have a warrior inside us, a champion undeterred by circumstance, station in life or obstacles. Today's guest is passionate about creating highly visible and profitable industry leaders. This gentleman loves helping people to realize their purpose and achieve above and beyond what they once thought impossible. Our guest today has written 8 books, been interviewed over 135 times, started a magazine, and won business awards. Most of all, this guest loves to help others realize that anything is possible with hard work and determination. Without further ado, please welcome to the show, the Warrior Strategist, Dr. Rob Garcia.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Doctor, I didn't even know that one ahead of time. What?
Doctorate in education, yeah.
No way, yeah.
Wanted to get that in there.
Yeah. He's been working on that laugh track for a while, or that applaud track for a while. All right, ladies and gents, well, let's get into this. Mr. Rob, actually, I shouldn't say that. Dr. Robert Garcia. Hey, man, first of all, I wanted to say the way we met was the more new age way of meeting, dude. We met via social media, right?
Yeah, you were recommended.
Recommended. So that is a new thing for us. Like, we've been doing the show for almost 2 years, right? And we do it every single day. We've met a lot of cool people. We've had like over 250 guests on the show. I mean, it's become like our thing. And lately, in the last few months, that has started to happen. We're like, hey, I've heard about your show, or hey, you've had this person on your show. I've known, like, I recognize your face, like different things like that. What does it take for a show or for a brand to build to that level? Like, in your experience, like you've got a magazine, you've built some stuff. I mean, we've done the grind work, but you've done it quite faster. Like, what does it take to do that?
Well, the first thing is you have to understand the difference between a company and a brand, and that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't get. So I want you to think about this. What was the first thing that happened when we connected? Do you remember the first action that I did that I bought from you?
Yeah, you bought a shirt.
Exactly. Why do you think I bought the shirt?
I'm assuming fan of the show, make a connection.
Because the graphic was cool. It was interesting. It was engaging. It's eye-catching. So now when I wear it, besides the fact that it fits my muscular body well because it's an athletic cut, but when I wear it, when I sport that out, people are going to recognize it. They're going to ask questions. They're going to know I'm affiliated with the show. So that is a brand I want to be a part of. So you guys mastered that. You have a great graphic. You guys have a great thematic approach to what you're doing, but that's the difference. Like, you're not just a company. Like, I don't just hang out with you guys because you run a company. You're a fun brand I want to be associated with. My friends obviously are talking about you, so that's the difference.
Oh, fun. I like that because that's definitely something that we like to do on the show, and little things like little nuances like when we fumble our words, little things like where like at the beginning I was like, oh shit, we're implementing this new thing where we're talking about our why statements at the beginning, and I messed it up and I didn't even do it. I'm like, that's it, just go with it. But like, just because we can have fun with our own show, right? Like, we can do things like that because it's our own gig, and some people would look at it as, damn, dude, like, you should edit that out, or maybe you guys should add this or blur this out or cut out these curse words, whatever. Like, for us, it's like, dude, this is our show. Like, this is, you see the raw us. This is the fun us. This is we're human. We make mistakes. Like, but that's not professional. That's not business-like. Like,
quote unquote,
right? Like, what's the difference then?
It makes you relatable. And so that's a big thing. It's why a lot of people want to interview me, because despite like the 6 degrees and the 135 interviews and being on Fox 3 times, all this different stuff, like people still realize that I'm just a goofy kid that grew up poor in a logging town, and I'm relatable. I'm an easy person to talk to.
Well, tell me a little bit about that whole background thing, because now you have accolades. Now you're in a spot where you're comfortable, yet you're still trying to grow your company, but you didn't start off there. Like, where'd you come from?
No, I grew up in Eureka, California, which is up in Humboldt. If you listen to Snoop Dogg or Cypress Hill, you know what Humboldt's famous for. And I grew up in a low-income family, a lot of drug addiction, a lot of alcoholism, and I ended up failing out of high school and failing out of 2 colleges, and I had a learning disability, and I couldn't pay attention in class. And so I was just constantly shuffling around between family members. I moved 16 times between 1st and 11th grade, and I just couldn't really find out who I was going to be, man. It was just a really rough time in my life. And so at 19, I found myself sleeping on the floor, not being able to afford meat in Phoenix. And I said, okay, you got to do something different. You got to make some different life choices. So around 21, I joined the Air Force.
Dude, sleeping on the streets? Like not being able...
Just the floor of my apartment. Like,
oh,
I couldn't afford a bed. Yeah, I wasn't on the streets.
Okay.
I was close a few times. Yeah.
All right. So you joined the military, and that, like, right away that straightened you out? I mean, I hear that from the military. Like, James for sure changed him around. Like, he folds his socks and his underwear and his shirts the same way still now to this day. But
that's what they taught us in the Navy. I know it's different in the Air Force.
The maid comes in and does it for us. You have to fold your stuff. I mean, I don't know. I open the door and it's done for me.
Yeah, whole different story. I know.
But it didn't. No, it wasn't an immediate thing because I could eat, which was amazing. The discipline and structure was kind of different, and then I was a hard charger the entire time. So I only served 1 active duty enlistment for about 4.5 years, and I finished a bachelor's degree, 2 associates, and a minor. I'd applied to the FBI, I applied to officer school. I pushed as hard as I could while I was in, and I was also like volunteering at Shriners, volunteering at Muscular Dystrophy Association camp, and just trying to do my best so that when I moved to San Diego, I would have some kind of structure. And I moved here in like 2002.
So what changed for you? You couldn't finish school, you couldn't pay attention in class, and then you, like, in the 4 years you got a bachelor and 2 minors. Like, how did your mind shift? Like, what happened in that head of yours that you were like, okay, now I want to pay attention, or now I care about education?
That's such a good question, man. Nobody's ever asked me that, like, at that level. I was just focused because once I had a little bit of certainty, like Tony Robbins talks about, like he talks about the need for certainty for us, which, gets rid of our anxiety. I had a place to sleep. I had like food. I had like a paycheck. And so I could just say, okay, I'm going to start chasing my goals. And I know I have to get educated. I know I have to take advantage of my time in the military. I know I'm not doing a second enlistment. And so I'm just going to, dip as soon as my time's out. But, it wasn't super hard because I didn't, I just took like professional aeronautics or something. It wasn't like anything crazy though. It wasn't like engineering or math or anything. So just got it done, stayed focused, didn't get married, and then just left, man. Came to San Diego.
Dude, that's intense. I talk to a lot of kids that struggle with school, that it's just not theirs. It doesn't click for them. It's not, they're going on 13 years in education because they're seniors, kindergarten counts as one. And so they're 13 years in education. They can't wait to get the hell out of there. Like, it's over. And yet I'm trying to, impress upon them the fact that, your education doesn't end when school ends. Like, you got to figure out there's something out there for you. And when you figure that out, I guarantee you your education's not going to start. You're going to want to continue to learn everything you possibly can about that particular subject. What was yours?
Well, the thing is, for kids like that, most of them are kinesthetic, tactile learners. And so it means that they learn by doing. And so for a lot of kids that take auto shop, a lot of kids that take like the engineering classes or electronics classes, like that's their way of learning because they actually get to build something and understand why they're learning. Mm-hmm. Kids that hate school can't sit still in the classroom. They don't get the real world implications. That was my problem.
There's no connection.
Yeah. So the only time I ever like really cared about physics or the metric system was when I applied it to like skateboarding. That's what I did for a long time. So
that makes sense. I got a lot of skaters too. They bring their boards in and hang out.
My first company was a skateboard company. I actually wore the shirt. This is my first company, Blue Dragon Enterprises, but that was my very first entrepreneurial venture. I had a skate company for a while.
All right, tell me about that. So what, like, just selling stuff like popped into your head, or like you had a paycheck, you had consistency, you knew where you were going to eat, you knew what you were going to eat, where you were going to sleep. And so you decided to like start a company. Is that something that's always been in the back of your mind, or?
Yeah. So this fast forwarding a few years. So I moved to San Diego. I started teaching at Morse, and then I'm a high school teacher. And all this stuff happened within the span of like 3 years. So I joined the reserves. I enrolled in a doctoral program. I'd already finished my master's when came to San Diego. Enrolled in a doctoral program, and I started a skateboard company because I've been a skateboarder for 30 years. And so I didn't know how to run the business end of skateboarding, though. That was the problem. But I just bought like 100 decks. I got like some custom graphics made, some shirts, some hats. Like I had a clothing line, little stuff like that. And just learned the nuances, the very basic nuances. And I sold a lot of skateboards. Like I sold, I'd say 80% of my inventory. I was actually killing it because everybody trusted me and liked me. But I didn't understand certain, marketing or any of the other stuff. I just kind of did it like immediately. But that was my first like business venture, and I was proud of it for a long time.
So let's dip into this whole marketing thing, because that's a huge part of it. Knowing the business part of your business, knowing the numbers, knowing the P&Ls, figuring out how to acquire a customer, what that acquisition cost is, all these different things, they come as part of an experience for most people, right? Can you learn about it at school? Absolutely. But I'm like you, if you don't apply it, there's no application, like it's just theory. But you started applying it. So what happened that you started to like focus in on that sort of stuff?
It never got to the point where it was a good business, but I was very loose with it. I treat it like a hobby, and that's where entrepreneurs get caught up, is they treat their businesses like hobbies. They don't really focus on like growth strategies or, income goals each month or productivity, anything like that. Like, how do I grow this company? How do I get more exposure? All this stuff, because the climate was a lot different when I started Blue Dragon. It was probably like 2006 or 7. And I went at it for a couple of years, 3-4 years, and I enjoyed it, but it was time for me to move on. So then I got into business strategies, and I started writing books, and business strategies is where like I really just enjoy it. It's really what I was put on this earth to do.
So I heard you wrote a book and made like $1,000, or you sold 1,000 copies, or made $1,000 in a day.
So I wrote an ebook. I wrote a couple of paperbacks, and then I got into ebooks once I figured out like how to do it. And I wrote a business ebook called The Profitable Entrepreneur, and it's just, I made it in one day. I think it was 10 pages long, sold it for $47, and I just sold it to my Facebook group, 126 members, like nobody else, like not the general population, not like Facebook ads, anything like that. And I just let people know, and I broke $1,000 in 7 days, and then the one after that, the veteran entrepreneur, I broke $1,000 in one day.
So tell me about that strategy, because you kind of hinted on it there. You had a group of people that were already following you, right? That already know, liked, and trusted you. Why would people like that buy things from you? What is it that you do a little bit differently in your relationships that gets people to buy from you?
So what I found out is you have to create a warm audience before you do anything. Before you launch a course, before you launch an ebook, before you like try and sell anything, you have to have a warm audience. You have to identify their pain points, and you have to create a product or service that will address their pain points and take away their pain. So that's the start. And then you have to very eloquently be able to describe what they're going to get with their purchase. Like, is their life going to be better? Are they going to be able to do some new, tactic? Are they going to be able to create some result? You have to make sure that they know when they buy your product that their life is going to change in a positive way.
So how do you go about creating this warm audience? I mean, do I create a funnel and I throw out Facebook ads? Is it like some sort of hook that I need to catch them with? How do you create a warm audience like that?
I am so simplistic. It would stun both you guys. I don't use Facebook ads almost ever. I don't use funnels. It's all organic. And so what I do is a couple of different tactics. I ask open-ended questions that are related to the pain point. I give trainings like Facebook Lives or Zoom group calls where we talk about a certain pain point, and then I will introduce my service or product that will solve that pain point. So for example, my course, like I have a course on visibility. So somebody has a business and it's not performing well, and they know they need to get on the news, or they know they need to get like a better social media plan. Then I talk about, okay, what's invisibility doing to your company, right? Like no sales, you don't have an audience, nobody's buying from you, all that stuff. My course will do this, this, and this, and here are some case studies of the last people that took it. So I'm going to tell them about Evan Derv, who runs Pro Finance, who In 7 days, we got him on 9 podcasts, the local news, and now he's going to be a writer for military.com, 10 million members, right? We did that in 7 days. Wow. That's addressing a pain point.
Yeah.
Visibility. So you address the pain point, then you offer the solution in whatever it is that you're creating.
That sounds very, very simple. So why aren't people working an angle like that? Why aren't people doing it if it's so simple?
Because they don't think about it, and most people are scared to take action, to be honest with you. It's why influencers and gurus make so much money, lifestyle marketing, because they paint that rosy picture like, hey, I'm going to offer you everything, but most people will not take action.
Dude, that is so true. That's like the whole gym thing. I always relate it to going to the gym because I wake up every morning, it's 4:20, get up, go to the gym. I do the one thing that I know is going to give me the greatest result, but I hate to do, just run. Right? I get on that treadmill, I run my 4 miles, and then when that's done, I go do the next thing that I know I don't like to do, but is going to give me the greatest results, pull-ups. Right? But it sucks, right? Those are the 2 exercises that nobody likes to do, but are the ones that I do every day I run, and then every other day I do the pull-up thing. And it gives me the greatest result, but I don't like doing it. It's kind of like the same thing in business. There are certain things that you need to do every single day, which is, get in front of somebody, tell them what it is you do, right? And offer them some sort of value, some sort of product or proposition.
Yeah.
Those are the things that most people avoid like the plague in business. So how are we changing that? How do we help people with that? Are you like literally holding their hand and walking them through it? Or how does this work? Do you help them develop?
It's really about connection because, and one thing I'm starting to see, we start to see certain patterns in our businesses. And one thing I see is that people really trust my recommendations. Like if I send somebody to a podcaster and I'm like, hey, you should interview them. They'll be like, oh, Dr. Rob sent you. Absolutely. And I treat my audience with the same respect I would treat a loved family member. So I don't pitch people bad stuff. I don't try and just make sales. I've even downsold certain services. When somebody wants to buy something for like $2,000, I'm like, well, that's not going to solve the problem. You can solve the problem for this, which is like $800. And I've downsold certain sales, so I'm ethical. Like people trust me because I don't want to give them the most expensive item on the menu. I want to give them the item on the menu that solves their problem. And that's why people come to me.
How do you identify people's problems? Like,
ask them.
Okay, tell me a little bit more because I've seen your posts. Like, you've been posting like a madman. I was telling you before the mics were on, and I was telling you how you post all kinds of stuff. And I noticed a lot of the things that you post are questions. Right? Like you're asking like, hey, what's your biggest goal for today? Or what was the hardest thing that you accomplished today? Or what's the biggest struggle that you have? Like they're very simple questions and they're engaging. People are commenting and reacting, right? And I'm assuming there's a purpose behind that.
Yeah, so take them up the ladder of friendship to start with and then get them to a certain point because there's different categories of people. So I'm not going to nail this exactly like on the spot, but I'll do the best I can just to kind of give you an idea. So there's the general population, which is just everybody strangers. Then there's bystanders. Those are the people that like your stuff, kind of check it out, never really interact. And then there's fans. So they're the ones that share your stuff, the ones that have conversations with you, that might join your Facebook group, might share the podcast. And then there's clients, and then there's super fans. And then you get to like elite VIP. I actually mapped this out on a chart one day, and I just keep taking people on the ladder by helping them and by finding out what their pain points are, and then I either send them a person that'll fix their problem or I create a solution to their problem.
Dude, that's pretty basic, right?
Pretty genius. Surprise. Whoa. The time is 18 minutes and 57 seconds. We interrupt today's regularly scheduled #1 podcast in San Diego for a purely selfish, completely irreverent, sellout cash grab. Word from our sponsor. Hernan, what are we selling today?
Podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it's the greatest thing. I get to meet people like Dr. Rob every single day. I get to be in front of people, tell them what it is we do. You, I am sure, are looking for a better way to do your prospecting, a better way to get in front of your audience, to blow up your social media in a positive way so that when you have a post, like we're talking about with Dr. Rob, there's engagement. There's actually people who care to talk to you, and hopefully you're working your way to creating some of those super fans and VIP fans. So we want to offer you the opportunity to have your own podcast. If you're interested in getting your own podcast, we're going to do it all for you. It's what we do already every single day. So we're going to help you create your own show from the beginning, from just the concept idea all the way to distribution and all your social media content, branding, all that stuff. So make sure you guys hit me up, Hernan, at csfirst.com or 619-884-4915. I almost gave him your number, 619-884-4915 for more information. We're also going to drop some stuff right here in the show links, so make sure you guys check it out, businessbros.biz.
And now, back to the number one podcast in San Diego, the Business Bros Pod. Oh, landed that one.
All right, there you go.
I'm getting there.
He's taking his producer role pretty seriously, right? Do you think?
Yeah, this is pretty high tech, man.
Yeah, I know. It got like 2 whole soundboards. Yeah,
Two whole
soundtracks.
Dude,
Yeah.
we're crushing it.
Woo.
Yes.
Getting there.
Oh, dude. So, that's one of those things where when we started off with the whole podcast thing, we knew that there was something about getting on social media. We knew there's something about commenting. We knew there's something important about making personal connections. So, like, one of the things I've done that we adopted really early on is when somebody sends me a friend request on Facebook, I send them a video message. It's very personal. Like, it's me. Like, I didn't make it up. I say your name. I even tell you, like, the day that I'm sending it to. So, like, it's 100% humble. It's me. And I like to send communications that way. I think it's much more genuine than just, typing stuff out. And I get such great responses from people when I do that. Like, it brightens up their day. Like, oh, this guy actually cares, or this guy likes that back. I want to start taking it to another level at that point. So what do you suggest as far as, okay, I made a good first impression now, right? Mm-hmm. I've started off the relationship right. What do I do next to elevate it?
You have to have a video call for like 10, 15 minutes. And if I remember right, I think I sent you a video first.
You did?
Yeah. And then, well, obviously it worked. I'm sitting here with a business bro, so, I did something right. But you've discovered something very important, is that people want personalization and they want attention. And I do that too. I do like 2-minute private YouTube videos. I just send them and I just record a personal message, like give them a genuine compliment. And it's opened a lot of doors. So the next step you want to do is to set up a 10 to 15 minute video call. And you just want to ask them, okay, what are you working on right now? And what's your biggest pain point? Like, what do you need solved? And then from then on, you never pitch them. You just find out where they're at in their business. And then you either can offer a service, you can recommend a person, or you can, just take it down the rabbit hole, see where it goes. But that's really what people need.
That takes it to a whole new level. I like that.
That really does, yeah.
Yeah, we actually have done similar things for our agents. Mm-hmm. So, like, we've set up stuff where we're going to contact an agent. We're going to, like, set up a 15-minute call or a 20-minute call. And exactly that, like, where are you at? What can we help you with? What is it that we can possibly provide for you? I mean, you're one of our teammates, right? What is it that we can possibly do to help you? But I still fall upon where there's a referral, where there's a piece of advice, where there's guidance, and there's lack of action on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, what have you noticed when you take the time to do stuff like that? You take the time to help somebody out, to give them a little piece of advice, to get them in the direction that they want to go in, but they lack the action.
Then they're not your ideal client to work with. And the way I look at it, I have a lot of analogies with dating, believe it or not. So if I go out with a girl and she's like just marginally interested and she doesn't really find me that intriguing, I won't go out with her again. And business is the same way. You want people that are excited and fired up to work with you. And if they're not, then that's fine. Just keep them in the pocket. Just kind of help them out when you can once in a while. But they don't. If they're not putting in the work as well, equally to what you're doing, just move on.
That's kind of hard. I'll be 100% honest, because I always have that feeling like I want to be liked by everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not until most recently where I'm like, okay, well, peace and keep moving on. But for most of my life, it was very much like, wait, you're not doing it? What else do I need to do? Like, what else can I do to help you? What else can I like? And then I when you talked about a rabbit hole, I could easily fall down the rabbit hole of trying to change somebody. And that's a tough one, because I learned now, 38 years of life, like, you can't change people. right?
No, people's inherent natures don't change. So when your younger sister comes to you and she says, "Yeah, I just met this guy. He got out of prison and he promises he's gonna change, and he's he's covered in tats and he's kind of sketchy," and you're just like, "Yeah, you're mid-30s. You should know better than this." But it's just the inherent nature of people does not change. Fixer-uppers usually don't work. There are some rare exceptions, but for the most part, like people's nature, just if they're not excited about you, they're not gonna change.
No, 100%. All right. So before the show, I told you a little bit about where we're at. We have the podcast. We're moving towards helping people put their own podcasts out there. We have the insurance agency, which we're basically wanting to contact loan officers to help them grow another income stream using the insurance business. And then I teach high school, of course. So what advice would what kind of pain points are you hearing out of me that I might not quite catch myself? You know what I mean? Like you've been talking to a lot of people in different businesses. And I'll give you an example. Like one of our goals is to make 10 grand a month, from our insurance agency, 10 grand a month from the podcast itself. Right now we're thinking it's going to be more along the lines of helping people produce their own podcasts. But there could be other avenues. Like off the top of your head, like what do you think? What kind of strategy or game plan should we be putting together?
You brought me on this show to pimp me out for free advice.
Absolutely,
like that's brilliant. I'm going to give it to you. So I admire the hustle, gentlemen. So okay, so you're talking 10 grand each, right? 10 grand from the insurance company, 10 grand from the podcast. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to start interviewing higher end professionals that have the income to pay your fees for whatever they're doing. You already know who your target market is for the insurance, which is the mortgage people. Now you need a list of mortgage people. Where are you going to find that? Well, you can look up every San Diego business license that's been issued through this city. They have an Excel spreadsheet with 46,000 businesses on it, free to access. I'll send it to you tonight.
Nice.
You can filter it out over Excel, type in mortgage and see what pops up. They'll probably give you 40 names. Then you can Google mortgage brokers San Diego. That'll give you a full list. And then just start reaching out to them. Let them know the value proposition, why they should work with you. 2 case studies. Boom. So there's your mortgage people for the insurance. For the podcast, I would suggest having 3-tiered pricing, a VIP package. And then every third podcast interview, you interview a VIP in San Diego, someone with a giant audience or a local celebrity, maybe a newscaster or a reporter. That'll get you on the news possibly. Focus. Every third person should be somebody that's got major reach, besides me, of course.
That's actually a good target. I mean, that's we do a show every single day, and so one of the daily grinds is to make sure that we have a guest every single day, because every once in a while we have guests that things happen, they get sick, traffic, whatever, so we have to go at it just ourselves, which is kind of cool because we get to recap on like stuff that's going on in our own personal lives, business lives, that sort of stuff. But how do I find those large audience people? I've done the DMs, and they tend to work out every once in a while, but they do take a little bit longer to build as far as a relationship.
I know I'll send you like 5 as soon as I get home tonight. I know a few here and there. You need to look for people in certain professions. So like my friend Liberty is a reporter for one of the major stations. I'll send you her information. She would love to be interviewed. My friend Eugene Kim is an angel investor, and he's got crazy hundreds of thousands of views on his YouTube videos. He's your 7-figure mentor on YouTube. But ultimately, you just have to kind of look out and use some Google and then ask people. So here's how I find out most of my information. Go on Facebook and just ask the question, who do you know in San Diego that's got a giant audience? That's it. Ask questions, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Boom,
They're
boom,
going to
boom,
tag.
boom. Tag an influencer in San Diego. Boom, 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 boom. And that's how you get your free information.
Not just that, that's how they get put on the spot. Right?
Yeah.
How else are you going to put somebody on the spot? You just ask.
Yeah. That's it. I just
kind of how we started to begin with, anyway.
Yeah, it's exactly how we started.
So when we started accumulating guests, we would have a guest come on the show, and at the end, we'd ask, "Who do you know that you think should be on the show?" And
of course, everybody wants to tag their mentor, right. And so they tag up, and then before you knew it, we were like, "Oh, what? Jesse Wright, Real Producer Magazine? Sweet, let's get her on the show."
Yep.
And that's exactly how we did it. That's genius. I love it. I love the validation of oh shit, we are doing something right.
Sometimes.
How do you go about starting a magazine? Like, that's got to be like that, especially in the day and age where we have like digital. Like the newspapers went out of business. Magazines are not doing so hot. And then you have a magazine that's doing relatively well. Like, how does that happen?
So that's a whole story in itself. I was working for someone that had a magazine in the fitness industry for a little bit. I just learned a few things here and there. And then I just said, okay, the hell with it. What if Tim Ferriss wrote a magazine? What would it look like? And 4 years went by, and I'm still running it. So I just taught myself how to do it. I started it. I was told by a lot of people not to do it. Like, nobody's reading magazines. You're not going to make any money. You're going to waste your time. And then on the second issue, I landed an interview with Howard Wasden, who was in SEAL Team 6 and fought in Mogadishu. Like, he was in Black Hawk Down. And that's when I realized, wow, this is real. This could work. And then after that, I landed an interview with like Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, who's this like 28-time author, like overseas speaker, just unbelievable coach, lives in like Rancho Santa Fe or somewhere. Like, he's kind of local. I got this crazy interview with him. And then it just got nuts. I got Mike Michalowicz, who wrote Profit First. He's like a multiple New York Times bestselling author. And then Dr. Dale Comstock, who's like a reality TV star who was in Delta Force, and he's a Green Beret. And I got an interview with him when I was deployed. So it's just about belief. It's just about like really passionately believing in what you do and not listening to other people. My vision for Shift is just, I want to interview top performers, the best people out there. And I've been getting them. And only like, I'm going to tell you guys some insight. I actually turned down Ty Lopez.
What?
And I walked away. I reached out to him. His team got back to me. They're like, yeah, Ty's going to give you an interview. And then I read a little bit more about him, and he wasn't kind of in alignment with me. And I just said, I just kind of backed out.
How did that feel, dude? Like, let's be honest. Like,
good.
Yeah.
Really good. Because, I mean,
because you could say no.
I'm not a fan. I just, nothing against him. That's cool. He's not in alignment with my audience and what I feel like an entrepreneur should be. And that's my own opinion. But the fact that I could get to him, get that yes, and then just kind of like, maybe not.
Dude, I don't know, man. I'm pretty competitive. If I would have given a yes and then he turned around and said no, I'd have been like, why not?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear back?
Nah. I just quietly went out. And then Kimra Luna turned me down. She said my design wasn't good enough. And her exact response was, make that shit look dope and I'll appear in your magazine. So she never got the second invite either. But I did hire another designer, so it was okay.
Dude, so what's it like building a team like that? I mean, do you have like a massive like, staffing or how does that work?
No,
how do you put together something like that?
Dude, it's as lean as you can get. I've got an amazing Air Force vet who does my covers. His name's Rich Hill. He does these incredible custom covers, and then I have a couple of guest writers that pop in once in a while, Abigail Sinclair and Nikki Bain and Brenda Edelman. So they have helped me out, but I do for a long time. I was doing everything except the cover. So, I mean, I was doing all the interviews, the writing, the layouts, uploading it, marketing, selling ads, like everything. And then finally I brought in a few guest writers, so I wasn't losing my mind.
Dude. How often does a magazine episode, like a magazine issue come out?
It's quarterly now. That's an acceptable workload with everything else I got going on, because you guys know I'm like a reservist in the Air Force, so I still got military stuff. I'm still like a full-time business consultant, and then I'm a host events. I have those wine and cheese parties like the one you went to. So I got a lot going on, and so I was doing monthly, and then I was doing like bi-monthly, and it was just too crazy, man. It was too much writing.
Yeah, it's writing is not my thing. Like, I actually reached out to somebody very recently, and she's somebody I went to high school with, and we reconnected because I was doing I'm putting together a 20-year high school reunion thing, so reconnecting with a lot of people from high school, and so I was talking to her, and I was like Tanya, like, I have this video thing, I have this audio thing, we were rocking it on those sectors. I have no writing. Like, our show notes are shit. Right? Like, I don't transcribe anything. We don't have blog posts. Like, there's anybody who wants to consume our content in the written space, they're SOL, dude. Like, there's no way to do that. And she was like, you know what? That's actually what I like to do. And so she's kind of coming on board and checking out our stuff and seeing what she could do. And she hit me up the other day. She's like, "Do you know you spelled attorney wrong in this post?" I was like, "This is exactly why I need somebody like you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly why. So, you know, I'm starting to put together these team positions, these different spots to help grow this thing. And I tell them all the same thing. I'm like, look, this is not an employee position. This is something that if you do really well, if you you see an idea here, maybe we can take people's stories. We can put together, a little ebook of people's stories. We can do extended interviews. Like, there's all kinds of different stuff. And then we can generate a revenue, and you're going to get the lion's share of that revenue because you're doing the lion's share of the work on that aspect of it. But it's still, these little networking partnerships, relationships that are going to a similar cause. Like, they've been something new for me in the last 2 years since doing this podcast. Like, how much has your network grown since you decided that, business and networking was going to be your thing?
I mean, it's changed the game for me, and I have constant sources of leads coming in. So here's where I realized I'd kind of made it. Like, over the last few years, I started to see these subtle changes. And so, like, one Christmas ago, I got something like 9 custom gifts in the mail from people, like, just out of nowhere. Like, people would print out my pictures, or they would, like, send me a box of books that they liked, that I thought I'd like, or they would make me stuff with my logo on it and mail it to me. So that was the start. And then I started going to events and getting, like, recognized, which was crazy and, awesome. And then the real change was just, just the way that people treat me is a lot different. So I don't know, man. A network is this is the point I was going for. So the difference is that I only have to do inbound marketing. And what I mean is people seek me out versus me seeking them out. So when you see an entrepreneur starting off first couple of years, they're out there, they're pitching people immediately, they're jumping into LinkedIn and, like, trying to sell people stuff, and they're out there constantly looking for clients. That's outbound marketing. Whereas I hit the point where I can just go for a run at my peak, like when I was really, really killing it. I could go for a run. There would be 11 messages waiting for me when I got home. And it was all like either media requests or like, hey, I want to work with you, or hey, I need some help. Let's do a collab, whatever. But that's when I realized that I was reaching the right audience, that I was being visible enough. And then every Friday I go to Exceptional Entrepreneurs and I meet like 40, 50 people. And I'm just handing out cards, and there have been times when there's like 7 people waiting to talk to me when the meeting's over, and it's just crazy, man. I'm super grateful. It's just, it's a lot to process.
Yeah, it is, but it's super awesome when you can be of service like that.
Oh yeah,
like that's one of those things that we've been pushing. I mean, since the beginning of our show, like our motto has been to be of service to others, and we have agents on our staff that are that have life-changing incomes, you know what I mean? That have achieved some great success. And now I feel like, with this podcast thing and us being, opening the doors to show people how we did it and, what we do on an everyday basis. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing those case studies, those people like change, like their whole life change. I'm sure you have clients that are like, they're really close friends now because, they came in as a client and you've helped shape their life, and now they're dear friends.
Yeah, I've had a few people hire me multiple times or take more than one of my classes, and they just they really dig what I bring to the table and the change in their life. I mean, okay, I'll give you an example. So I started this visibility course, Tactical CEQ. This guy, Patrick Kirby, signs up from North Dakota. He had no idea who I was. He just saw some of my videos and he thought I was cool. He signs up for like $645. He ends up graduating this course. He writes an Amazon #1 best-selling book. He now has his own podcast. He moved out, has this giant office in North Dakota, and he's sold out numerous events. Like, the dude is a legit rock star. And so he tells people he owes everything to Tax CEQ. He signed up for my other course. But this is a guy who has had a major life upswing in like the course of a year because he worked with me. Now, obviously I can't promise that for everybody.
Yeah.
He was he worked his ass off to get like where he's at, but he's an example of what's possible if you work hard.
See, and let me ask you this. Recognition you get on your own or seeing somebody that you worked with succeed, which one feels better?
Seeing someone I work with succeed, for sure, because I've had major upswings in my life, and to watch somebody, to work with somebody and to watch them and to show them, the stuff I've done that works, and then they apply it to their own lives, and they bring in $10,000 in a day or something, like it feels incredible. and I know that I've helped feed their kids. Like that's, it's a great feeling.
That's exactly what we look forward to every single day, dude. That's exactly why I know James every single day he's in the office. He's doing that exact same thing, trying to support every single one of our agents. That's the feeling that we love and enjoy. Like when somebody comes to you and they're like you've shaped their life, you've changed something for them. Like, in school I see this, and it's on a much smaller scale, but when I'm teaching something like taxes or something, and then they get it and the light goes off. You know what I mean? That look in people's eyes, like, oh, that's what I was looking for. Like, that's the aha moment that I look for every single day.
Yeah.
Like that's what fuels me personally.
Yeah, I love it. I love when you've shown someone something and that they get it and they'll always remember you and be grateful to you.
Dude, 100%. All right, ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today, Rob. Hey, man, I want to do one last two things actually before we go. One, look at this camera. Tell people how to get a hold of you.
All right. So you can find me on Facebook under Rob Garcia, or you can go to my main website, which is yournextlevelofsuccess.com. And if you're looking for more business visibility and growth, check out Tactical CEQ, my 6-week course, which teaches social media, how to get media interviews, how to recruit celebrities, all kinds of stuff. The case studies are ridiculous. So find out about at tacticalceqcourse.com. Thanks, guys.
Boom. And then one more thing we always do in Ask the Bros section. So while you think of a question to ask us, personal business, I'm going to remind our studio audience, look, you guys want to grow your podcast or you want to start a podcast at all? Make sure you guys hit us up. We're also in the insurance business, so make sure you hit James up for that one, 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. This Thursday, February 25th, we're going to have volume 2 of Fuck Up Nights. So we got 3 speakers. We got a social media guy. We got a real estate greatest salesman in the world. And we got an attorney in heels going to be talking about their biggest fuck ups. So make sure you guys check that out. We're going to leave the show notes here at the bottom. Viviana.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you.
I saw your eyes. Yeah, she's going to be there. So James is going to leave the link in the show notes. Make sure you guys get your tickets. We'll love to see you guys there Thursday, February 25th.
I love it. So I got to ask my question now?
Yeah, go for it.
Who's the funniest guest you've ever had?
Dude, funniest guest I've ever... You know what? I can think of lately, Curiosity Theory.
Martin Lopez.
He
was hilarious.
He was freaking funny.
Oh man. The funniest. Which one had us laughing the most?
Dang, dude. I've had a lot of laughs, but
I know. I can tell you probably one of my favorite stories was Brandon Stanfield.
Oh my gosh.
Getting punched in the face
at Target?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite stories of all time.
I got to tune into that one.
Dude, that was funny, man.
Yeah, that one was good. We've had so many.
No.
Too good. Just all kinds of funny guests. Mr. 805 was something else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yep.
That guy was on the show. He had some great stories too. He was freaking funny. And then passed away recently.
Yeah.
A few months ago, but yeah, no, that was good. Yeah. I think oh hell no.
That's got to be like one of my most memorable, like, funny moments. Yeah. Brandon Stanfield, I don't know, episode 100 and something.
Yeah, he's
way back there.
He's in the hundreds, but
yeah,
love it.
That was a good question. Yep. All right, ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
There we go.